But this is episode 2, and I guess I'm going to call this one Saving Mona, the Craftsman M100. Mona's got some problems. The blade is knocked off the adapter or stripped the adapter, or someone's used the wrong adapter. We'll find that out in a minute. It's got a bunged up right front wheel. I'm going to go ahead and tilt it back. I've got the spark plug wire off. I'm going to put a heavy toolbox on my card table here with the short blades. And you got to get that stuff off there. And what I wanted to show you, part of what's going on with this wheel is it's either been hit so hard that it's knocked a piece off, but it's what I often see with these. Let me get something to point with. What I often see with these, this is what it's supposed to look like on this side. There's these two pieces, 1 and 2, and that axle slides in there, and it's sort of it's like a clip. It kind of clips it into place, see? So it sits up on top of those two pins. And if you go across, see that one is missing. It's either been sheared off, but there's very little holding that axle in place. And whatever happened when they bent that, it may have snapped that off too. So this whole piece, I may just go ahead and replace with that another one I showed you earlier. But for now, we're gonna see what's going on with this blade. So let me get my blade block on here, and we're gonna get this blade off. Because it needs to be sharpened anyway. And, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and check here and see if the crankshaft is bent.
Georgia, I mean, some of the stuff I'm seeing coming out of Georgia, is this possibly a little bit too?
It looks like it's okay. I did feel some compression, so that's good.
Yes, it is. It was. Georgia was trying to do the right thing by making.
The other thing you can do is that looks okay there. I'm going to swing this blade around here. It's a little bit lower. It's a little bit higher, so there may be some issues with the blade either being bent or the crankshaft being bent a little, but it doesn't appear to be bad. So that up there is in the same spot. That looks a little lower there. All right, so let's get this blade off and take a look at it. Since I'm gonna go this way to get the screw off, I want this to be above the blade. And the C-clamp goes above the blade.
It was about 20,000, or 32,000 as I recall.
Yeah, so
32,000.
So
all lined up there.
Almost a so you can stuff. If it had been the other way around, of course they would have demanded a recount, but that is correct. So with these, what do we think the outcome is going to be?
Well, I think we need to make sure the public needs to be aware.
Let me go here and turn this radio off over here.
Enough's enough. I mean, if you can't wear it fair, it's great.
Okay, now this blade block's going to hold that in place real well. A lot of people will use an impact wrench on this. I do not recommend that. I use a breaker bar because sometimes the impact wrench will slip, because a lot of these heads on these are shallow. They're shallow because the manufacturer doesn't want it's so deep that it's going to be hitting the ground when you mow. So these tend to be shallow, so it's easy for that thing to slip using the impact wrench. So let me get the right socket on here to get that off, and that socket is a 5/8. Nice and firm there. This is what you call a breaker bar. You can get these from freight for not too much money. I use this all the time. So let's, okay, it's, the blades touch the block now. I want to hold that so it's nice and square. I'm going to go up. Boy, somebody's tightened that, probably because the adapter slipped. Now, let me get a little more oomph on this thing. There we go. That was over tightened, probably because the adapter is stripped and it was slipping, so they just really torqued down on it. So let's get this thing off and take a look here. I was wondering if this blade is bent or if the crankshaft is bent, but we're going to figure all that out together. Okay, that looks pretty straight. Yeah, this is what we're dealing with here. Somebody put this blade on loose or improperly and have completely stripped off what holds the blade in place. Both nubs, this nub and that nub, have sheared off, and this is supposed to look like that little bow tie shape, see? And it's gone now, it's just a circle. So that blade's gonna spin around on there. It may not have been spinning because he had it torqued down so far, but that's not good either. But let me take a quick look at this blade and see if it appears to be bent or not. Hold it up about eye level and just look at it. And then hold up eye level, look at it. That actually looks okay. Another way to check it is to put on a flat surface and kind of balance it. I don't know if you can see that. Put it on a flat surface and balance it. And if there's a big gap there, it doesn't match this gap, then you may have a bent blade. And sometimes this blade actually looks pretty good. Yeah, it's just dull. So let's see if this thing's gonna even come off. Oh yeah, that's barely on there. So now let's get this trash off. That's gone. And I'm gonna look at this and see if that crankshaft is bent. And the way to do that is to go ahead and take the plug out so there's no compression, and then I'm gonna pull the cord gently, and we're gonna see if this thing, you know, travels this way, or if it makes a nice tight spin and it's not bent. So let me get that blade out of there real quick. I mean, not the blade, but the spark plug. I'm going to check this plug while it's out and make sure the gap looks good. Sometimes they'll push that down so much that it's almost touching. And then in my opinion, you can have a fire hazard. But that looks pretty much okay. So now when I pull this cord to look for a bent crankshaft, it should just spin without movement this way or that way. So let's take a quick look here. Oh yeah, that's nice and tight. So that crankshaft is not bent. I'm so happy about that. So I'm going to have to find another adapter to put on there. But that's enough for now. We'll come back in a minute and talk some more about these wheels and keep working on this baby.